This brother I know in a remote way, so to speak, not a face to face relationship, but whether that matters, God knows. These things that we think are more pertinent or more reliable. And I'm not saying that face to face is not uh, or holds no consequence. There's a benefit of being face to face, but you can't deny that we can all be lied to face. So here I am with my face facing you. I don't see you. And God knows whether this is just my vanity, putting my face out there. But this brother, whom I know over years of writing, he writes and asks questions and says things. And so he made a wonderful declaration not too long ago. Jesus is a master of questions. And he is. And even his declaration of that provoked consideration of many of the questions that are recorded for us to know that, Jesus asked a lot of questions. And there's one question it's in a parable, but that doesn't make it less than Jesus asking it. If it's in a parable, he speaks. Now, this looking for truth, so to speak, this treasure hunt, it doesn't end where we may think it ends. So when we consider that Jesus telling the parable, is Jesus then asking the question if it's included in the parable? And it's about day workers, and we all know it. And I assume we do, and if we don't, we can read it. Okay, about the guys. A master goes out and hires some guys to work, and they agree to a price. And they work from the morning, and they work into the late afternoon, and then the master goes and hires some other guys for the same price. I'm getting a little ahead of myself anyway. But he hires some, and they don't work the 8 or 12 hours the other guys did. And when it's time to get paid, they all get paid the same wage. And the guys that worked the longest didn't think that was fair. They'd worked through the heat of the day, as they told the master, and it doesn't seem fair that these guys that got in at the last couple of hours, minutes, we don't know how long they worked, but they're getting the same pay, same reward. And so the master has a question, and as Jesus asking this question is back to what I was considering. Is thine eye evil because I am good? Now, what a question that is. Attributing unfairness, attributing evilness in the master's giving. He said, look, I agreed with you guys. This is what you get paid. You agreed. But now you want to come back and say, well, now you want to come back and say, wait a minute. We worked through the heat of the day. You're giving these guys the same thing. This ain't right. This ain't fair. This ain't fair. Oh, praise God. This ain't fair. You really want what's fair? You really want justice? Do I? Praise God for grace. Do you really want justice? So anyway, That's a good question. To me, anyway. Is thine eye evil because I am good? See, in that, when that's turned that way, and the men are spoken to frankly, we agreed, did we not? But now, because of my goodness, you're provoked to think there's something amiss. So is that thing amiss provoked by my goodness? That's a question. Is your eye evil? Is my eye evil? Because God is so good. Sitting down with a pen and paper and calculator and protractor and whatever, slide rule, I ain't going to answer that. Makes us think about where the evil comes from, where it's resident, ready to be projected. Ready to be projected. Which also brought me to consider the prodigal son. And again, I think we all know that story. Guy asks for his inheritance, takes it, goes out in riotous living and squanders it. Regrets his decisions, his choices, what he's done, but understands something about his father, about the goodness of his father. That if he returns home, even to just be one of his father's servants is enough. He will be better fed, better cared for than he's been able to of himself. And especially after squandering everything. He's eating what the pigs leave. So we all know he makes his way home and the father meets him, greets him, go get a robe for my son, puts his ring on him, all this stuff. Let's throw a feast. This my son was dead. My son's returned. And so the other brother, who did not do as the prodigal had done, is coming in from working in the fields, and he hears this big, brouhaha going on, this big party. So he sends his servant, find out what's going on. And the servant comes back and he says, hey, your brother came home and your father's throwing a big shindig. And there's whatever there is about that. And the older brother refuses to go in. He's not going to have any part of that party. So his father comes out to him and talks to him. And he says, why won't you come in? He says, this your son who's taken and squandered everything. You receive with open arms and great joy and throw him a big party, killing a fatted calf. But me, I've been with you all these years. I've stayed with you. I've worked here. And you've never so much as given me anything to party with. Hear what the father says. Son, you've ever been with me. Everything I have is yours. But it's right that we have this party, for your brother was dead and now he's alive. But hear what the father says. And hear what the good son who stayed at home needed to hear. Son, you've been ever with me, and everything I have is yours. You never needed to ask me for anything. Everything I have is yours. You never needed to ask for a goat or a fatted calf. That was yours to do with as you would. Oh, yeah. Do you hope the older brother heard that? Understood that? The one who worked through the heat of the day while the other squandered his inheritance? The question is basically the same, you know. Why didn't you know this, isn't it? Why didn't you know this? You're ever with me. Everything I have is yours. Whose fault is that for not knowing? The son had a greater trust in the goodness of the father. Hey, if I just go home and be a servant, I'll be better treated. And that's the rebuke that the squandering son understood the father better than the son who labored so hard. Oh, I have been through so much with you and for you, and I have gone and done this and that, and you never so much as gave me anything to have a party with my friends. Is your eye evil because the Father's good? Is my eye evil because the Father is good? But thanks be to God, the Father says that to the Son. May the Son hear. Everything I have is yours. The Son needed to hear that. That Son needed to hear that. Whether it worked in him what it needed to work, God knows. But he even needed that whole situation. A brother he considered dissolute, profligate. He needed all of that so that that son would come home, be received by the Father in such a manner that this son would finally be provoked to speak to the Father what was in his heart about the Father's disposition. Ooh. Ooh. And so it ever is with grace. So it ever is with grace. Grace is very provocational. Oh yeah, Jesus told them, the prostitutes and the tax collectors, they're going in before you guys. He didn't say you guys can't go in or are not going in. The mistakes that they know they've made, the sins, the falling short that is so plain to them, but not to you. You're the one that's labored hard. You're the one that's stuck through the heat of the day. It's not like that at all. And it's normal. Until we hear the Lord say, everything I have is yours, to be provoked. And whatever it takes, God is going to see to, till that face-to-face exchange is made. I really don't like you very much at all because of... Yeah. Now some will say I'm encouraging that. Oh, you're encouraging more sin. No. No. It's wonderful to find out God is not shocked at all when we're finally brought to confront how little regard, how little care, how that when we were enemies, and we all want to think, oh yes, yeah, that's a wonderful truth. While we get enemies, God sent his Son to die for us. But what does that mean? Is thine eye evil? Because he is good. What provokes that? It's not unlike the other questions Jesus asked, you know. And why do you behold the mote that is in your brother's eye? Why? It's a question. He's not, okay, we all may. Do you? I have. I'll admit, I have. Oh, I understand what that's saying. But have you ever had the question personally? Why do you? Why do you behold the mote? Why do I behold the mote and don't see the log that is in my own eye? Has to do with presumption. And part of that presumption is exposed by our thinking, oh yeah, I understand what that's all about. Yeah. Till you have the question posed to you face to face, eye to eye, and an answer will come. Because the question provokes an answer. Whether a man gives it or not, but the Lord knows. The Lord knows. He searches the hearts. He searches the hearts. So he knows when he says something, what happens. Yeah. And the glory thou hast given me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them and thou in me, that they may be made perfect in one. What a wonder. All that he has, he gives. And he is not unsure at all of what he has and what is his. Bless you.